Welcome to Third Party News for Retro Robot Radio for June 21st, 2014. Well, this week was Botcon 2014, and the third-party toy displays were flowing. The news this week, I'm going to cover it a little differently. I'm just going to talk about a little freestyle instead of having it in little segments. First thing I'm going to talk about is Bullsfire. They had their Airstrike figure on display, and it's a prototype. It's looking pretty good. This is the Masterpiece style swoop figure. I think it's supposed to be scaled to go with Masterpiece Grimlock, so one of the smaller ones. It might also even be useful to people who want big Dinobots in their Classics collections. And it looks very, very Generation 1. I'm going to keep my eye on this one. The second one I'm going to talk about is Clone Droid, who displayed some prototype images online. The figure that I'm seeing here in some of their pictures, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be two different sizes of the figure or if it's just one's closer to the camera, but the figure is a copycat of Mastermind Creations' Terminus Hexatron. It will be in a completely different box. The box says Ninja 6-Shot from Clone Droid Toys. I think there was an announcement from Mastermind Creations that they are not happy with this and aren't going to be selling to any of the people who sell the Clone Droid products. So watch yourself there if you're going to try to sell these Clone Droid products. Honestly, I don't like the look of either of them. I always thought the Mastermind Creations toys were a bit too busy, but maybe that's your thing. Fans Project at Botcon displayed the color images of the Mindwipe-inspired Headmaster figure from their Function X line. They showed a toy in robot and another in beast mode. He has claws on his shoulders. What's that? Anyway, Iron Factory has a really cool little set coming out that is based on IDW Blaster. It's a legend-sized figure that also comes with a Steeljaw and Ramhorn that each turn into little tanks, or they can become weapons. And Steeljaw and Ramhorn can actually combine to become a chair for Blaster to command from, which is pretty neat. I think he did that in the movie, although it wasn't a combiner chair. But hey, if you want transforming animals that turn into a chair to sit on, this is the first time I've ever seen that. Iron Factory also showed test shots of their Slammer and Six Gun inspired figures. These are also legend-sized figures that go with the Generations Metroplex. You know, it would be really nice if I ever saw Metroplex in a store once ever. Come on, Hasbro, reissue that sucker. There's demand. Keith's Fantasy Club showed off more color images of the Tempest and his little thug friend. This is a Voyager-sized version of Cyclonus. It's looking like it'll look really nice next to Mania King from Unique Toys. KFC has also started solicitations on the recolor remolds of their Mugen Scope figure. Unfortunately, they're only selling them in 2-packs. You can either get Mugen Scope recolored in more Generation 1 colors with a character called Mugen Amputary, which is Shockwave, or another Mugen Scope that comes with Ghetto Blast, which is Blaster. I don't like 2-packs, and 2-packs that both have the same one figure and different other figure. That's really bad. I mean, I know you can sell the extra figure on eBay or whatever, but it's just a hassle, and it's just a stupid gimmick to sell an extra toy. If they'd have just sold the figures with different other figures, that would have been fine. They could have had one be with Perceptor and one be with, I don't know, a Shattered Glass figure. Or you know what this mold would look really nice with? It would look really nice if they redid it as Reflector from Generation 1. Just give him a reflector head and color scheme and maybe a lens on the chest. And then called him Mugen Warrior, based on the Warrior character from Generation 1. Okay. The Make Toys, or Maki Toys, have shown off some more sketches of their Protectobots Combiner figure. This one looks like Hotspot. They've also shown off at Botcon. They had their Utopia and Quantron figures on display. I think these things are mostly on display, not for sale, but in fact, most of the stuff at Botcon seems to be on display there, and then their tag saying will be for sale in July, which I'm thinking that means maybe they are going to advertise them at Botcon, and if you want to buy them, you can buy them online or buy them at TFCon next month. So that's one way of getting around actually selling it at Botcon. Mech Ideas has been showing off its Gauntlet and Piston figures. I think they had them actually for sale at Botcon. There also is a special edition Botcon Renderform version of Gauntlet, which comes beat up with battle damage and a bullet hole in the head, because if you want a beat up toy with a hole in the head, that's where you're going to shop. Mech Ideas also showed off the Bluster and Trench, the animated Huffer and Pipes Mario Brothers, and one of the little flyers that was shown at Botcon says the TT01G Bluster and Trench TFCon and Auto Assembly exclusives, and it shows a recolor where they're actually in Mario and Luigi colors. So I guess that's a bit of a spoiler for two exclusives at TFCon and Auto Assembly are going to be Luigi and Mario, the animated Transformers. Mastermind Creations was at Botcon, and they showed off the Fembot figures that they're doing. There's Azalea, Xenia, Salvia Perninum, and many other ones that are even harder to pronounce. Basically, it's 4 different Fembots. You got RC, Paradron Medic, Solus Prime, and Elita 1. There's also rumors that the Predaqueen version of RC that's in Predacon colors will be coming out, possibly as an exclusive with one of the customizers. Now, a new company called Omnigonics has shown off the first prototype images of a figure that I think a lot of people will want if you're a Masterpiece collector. This is a Masterpiece Sunstreaker-inspired figure. It looks like it's going to have a transforming hand that can either have the little piston that he fight. There was that. It's supposed to be a pile driver, actually. You know, funny story. When Hasbro first made Sideswipe and Sunstreaker figures, they accidentally swapped the bios on the package. That's why Sideswipe is in there about having a jetpack and pile drivers, and then Sunstreaker actually has a little pile driver hand option and engines on his back. That was supposed to be the jetpack, but then everything didn't work out so well, and now the character that didn't have pile drivers had to have pile driver add-ons made, and this guy doesn't get credit for having a jetpack when he should have. It's just weird. Original intent, I guess. Perfect Effect showed off their add-ons for the Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon molds, and it's all its repaints. They have a Master Weapon set that goes with the Botcon Gigatron. They have a Super Tank weapon set that goes with the GDO Megatron. It also goes with Cloud Megatron, really nice from some pictures I've seen. There's a Samurai weapon set that goes with Revenge of the Fallen Bludgeon. And these are real nice. They have a good sword. The sword that came with that toy was complete crap. It's a bendy little thing. You can't even make it be straight. It automatically bends over. And this also adds a big gun, because what's Megatron without one big gun? And it has some cool faces with options on them in most of the ones, except for the one for Megatron, which just leaves Megatron face on. So these look pretty nice. I wouldn't mind seeing these up close. Perfect Effect also had a teaser for the upcoming Leo Convoy-inspired figure called Leonidas. So let's watch out for that one. Planet X showed off a prototype image of their PX-03 Neptune coming in October. And Neptune is the Fall of Cybertron-inspired Sludge figure, which is the next of their Fall of Cybertron figures. They also showed off silhouettes of a Snarl and Slag figure. I think actually in Fall of Cybertron he was called Slug, wasn't he? Slag? Anyway, whatever he'll be called. You know what? They should just call him Slag when they release him from Planet X, because Hasbro's not using the name. I think that would be the best way to go. Renderform, let's see. Renderform, at a get-together over the week, I haven't mentioned this since last week, so I'll throw it in there, showed off their Project Magnum, which is the Energon-inspired Ultra Magnus head for Steel Core. And, you know, it's pretty neat. I think the time for add-ons for that would have been a while ago when it was first coming out. Maybe they can come out with an add-on if Fans Project releases more of the figure in a different color someday, which would be nice, Fans Project. Come on! How about another version of Steel Core? It's like printing money. Renderform showed off some weapons that they're coming out with at Botcon. They have a Leo Justice Sword, a Leo Magnum Hammer, the Blackguard Slasher, and a Leo Savior Shield. So a couple of cool, I guess, knight or pirate inspired, I guess knight-inspired weapons. Let's see. SXS have shown off what is their Blur figure, and they showed it next to Masterpiece Sideswipe, confirming the size of the figure would go really well with Masterpiece. Although it's not exactly the Z1 or G1 alt mode, it might be what some people want for their Masterpiece collection. SXS have also shown off the silhouettes of a weapon set that they might be coming out with for Dreadwing and Skyquake. These are the guns that Dreadwing and Skyquake used in the Transformers Prime TV series, as well as the bomb that Dreadwing used a lot in that show. Let's see. TFC Toys. There were prototypes of their figures at Botcon. We saw actually it was a test shot of their Hotspot inspired figure, and it was shown next to the color image of one of their, was it the Groove inspired guy? What's that? The Warning Line? So Groove is, I never liked that vehicle, and it's horribly, horribly out of scale. And I know, you know, it's Generation 1 inspired, but a giant motorcycle next to a tiny fire truck doesn't work for me. You have my permission to make Groove a new vehicle. I think, of all things, the Botshot toy line released Groove in their little Protectobot set as a tank, and amazingly it worked. I don't know. Well, something else other than a gigantic motorcycle might work. Let's see. Crossover Gen has, at Botcon, had a displayed figure of their God Bomber inspired add-on for their, what was it called? The Trailer Force figure. The Trailer Force was the upgrade for classic Optimus Prime. I think at this point, you don't even need Optimus Prime to be included in the set. You just put this God Bomber on the front of it and the Trailer Force on the back of it, and there's just an empty square in the middle where you could have put an Optimus Prime if you wanted to. You don't really need it. But this adds front armor and wings to the Super Robot mode, making a really cool giant robot. It's big as all get-go, but I think in the animated series of Master Force, Jinri was like the size of a combiner when he was God Jinri anyway, so what the heck, make him his biggest Devastator or whatever. I like this. Too bad the price is so high. Maybe if it ever goes on sale or if I get flush with money, I'd pick it up. Well, now that Saturday's over, it's Sunday morning, and I'm looking at even more pictures and things we can talk about. So, looking at the photos that I've collected, I see that Dr. Wu has released the first toy images of their add-on for Masterpiece, Wheeljack. This is one of the cannons that he used in the TV series. They have a couple of pictures, including a picture of him being used by Masterpiece Prowl, since the Masterpiece Wheeljack toy isn't out yet. I guess he just figures it'll be the same size hand grips, and when Wheeljack gets out, they already have accessories available. Mastermind Creations showed off their, I'm guessing it's pronounced Seraphinium or something like that. It's their Noah Prime figure. It was shown at Seraphicus Prominium. Okay, that's how it looks like it's pronounced. It's first quarter 2015, price to be decided. Also, I saw some better pictures of the fembots from Mastermind Creations. So they're going to be making their versions of RC, the Paradron Medic, Elita 1, and Solus Prime. I think the Solus Prime is the one that's the most interesting to me. But Hasbro's making a RC, even though it's not as good looking. Let's see. SXS have shown off some test shots of their replacement head and face for the KFC Citizen Stack figure. They're looking pretty neat. I like them, but I don't have Citizen Stack and don't plan on buying it, so I probably won't get the replacement head. Unique Toys and DX9 have shown off a new project called the X01 and X02 War in Pocket. These are going to be Legends-sized versions of Blur and Ironhide to go with your Metroplex city. It's a little interesting that they picked Ironhide to go with Metroplex. If they're going strictly based on the movie, Ironhide was never depicted being in Metroplex because he was on Moonbase 1 or whatever. Blur, I could understand putting him in Metroplex, and he'd go together with the Iron Factory Blaster. Maybe a Legends Hot Rod in there, too. Warbotron showed off first color images of their Swindle inspired figure. Always liked Swindle. He was one of my favorite toys as a kid. I'm not really interested in this one because of its sheer size. I mean, they really are masterpiece-sized toys, and they cost a fortune. But if that's the sort of thing you like, this looks really good. I'm not sure about the translucent purple shoulder cannon. Usually that was depicted on his other arm and as being solid black in the TV series. But I guess there was taking a little artistic license. Looks very flexible. Good ankle tilts there. Everyone loves ankle tilts, right? Now, I had mentioned last week that we were going to take a look at some of the Hasbro announcements this week from Botcon as to what sort of add-ons could be made for them. Some of them are pretty obvious. They have a Headmaster Brainstorm coming out who has no briefcase. Obviously, that's a big thing, especially if this is an IDW Brainstorm who carries a briefcase, and this guy doesn't have it. So I'm sure somebody's going to make that right away if it doesn't come with it. Also, with an RC figure, a cheap available RC figure, I would imagine someone might come up with either a Daniel figure to drive her, or possibly a replacement head that turns into a little Daniel. At least a Shapeways toy, if not a full third-party figure. I know if Head Robots was still in business, they'd probably be making that. Honestly, I'd think that the Brainstorm head could use a replacement too, but people probably won't bother because at least it already has one. Other add-ons. Well, we saw that there's going to be a Superior figure, although we don't see any details to it yet. I'm sure once it comes out, there will be replacements for all the things that Hasbro chinsed on when they made this figure. It's going to be another Combaticons like combiner, in my estimation. I think they'll probably not give the handguns, or the handguns will be crappy. It'll probably have need for pieces to expand the arms out, maybe even a full replacement Silverbolt torso. I just don't see Hasbro learning from its mistakes, but maybe they'll surprise us. It would be nice. The leader class Megatron that was announced, it's okay if a little oversized. I think it might end up being a lot of people's stand-in masterpiece Megatron more than a classics Megatron from the size of it. It's meant to look like G1 Megatron's animation model in robot mode, but look like a tank in vehicle mode. Most classic collectors, third-party collectors, are either going to go for bold forms or Mega Steels or Toy World's Megatrons. As for that Voyager Optimus Prime Generations figure, I don't know that there's any saving it. I mean, someone's going to make a G1 gun you can stick in its hand or something, but honestly, it's just horrible. What were they even thinking? Why did they even bother making it? Why didn't they paint it? I mean, you can tell all the pieces are just one solid color instead of painting the details on them in the vehicle mode. And the robot mode looks like he turns from a truck into a gorilla, not a humanoid robot. Anyway, I hope someone can do something to fix it, but I don't think they can. If you have any ideas as to upgrades for the things that Hasbro announced at Botcon, I hope we'll hear from you in the feedback for the show this week. You can go to the Retro Robot Radio YouTube channel and post it in the comment section. As usual, this show was brought to you by news from tformers.com and TFW 2005, and also you can post about it on Facebook in the Third Party Crashers page. Goodbye.